The all-in-one speed paint by the Army Painter is truly a one-coat painting solution. Simply apply one rich coat of speed paint directly over a primed miniature, and you're done. Speed paint will leave that part of the model with intense shading, vibrant color, and a highlight effect in one application. The Speed Paint Starter Set includes 10 smart color choices to begin your speed painting journey, like vibrant primary colors, highly saturated secondary colors, and the perfect combination of composite colors to get those models finished in record time. Every bottle of speed paint includes 2 rust-proof stainless steel mixing balls preloaded in the bottle for easy mixing, and a Wargamer brush absolutely free. Armed with speed paint, you can take on armies of miniatures insanely fast, all while achieving a dramatic and fantastic tabletop standard. Army painting has never been easier.
Hi everyone, it's Dave here from Band of Badgers, and this is not, what am I going to say? This is not the Great British Brush Off. This is in fact the epic British Brush Off, and we're joined this week none other than by I'm going to call him pro artist because everyone's better than me on this bloody show anyway. So pro artist, it's Greg from TEBBO DORK, everybody. How you doing, Greg?
Excellent. How are you?
Yeah, it's okay. It's half-term week this week, so I haven't been at work. So it's been a nice, relaxing week. Painting some minis, painting some terrain, doing some stuff, hanging out with a kid, showing my face so he knows who I am. and doing that, exactly, doing that kind of stuff. Now,
remember me?
Exactly. I pay for everything you have, but that's me. With us as well, sitting in for Joe, because Joe is currently out acting at the moment. We have Josh McGuire from the McGuire Review. How you doing, Josh?
Doing good. Happy to be here again.
Good.
It was fun last week.
It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of chats last week. It was close last week.
It was.
So for Greg, just in case you've never seen our show before, oh dear me. In case you've never seen our show before, at the end of the show, you, along with the audience, if there's anyone still watching, you get to judge us and pick a winner. Okay, it's that exciting, and you get to award the gold star to either me or one of those other two.
But Dave needs a win. Dave needs a win.
I need a win.
Dave needs a win. Oh.
He deserves a win, to be fair, as well.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see. It depends how much bribery we can do, or how much bribery Greg is willing to take.
See how nice Steve is to Dave.
Yeah, we'll see the flip side of that in about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So we've got loads of bits and pieces going on. Josh, always a pleasure to have you, and you're sitting in for Joe. Joe has won 1 gold star at the moment, while Steve has managed 3, although technically one of those.
Yeah, I've won 2, and my standing won 1. Which was great because I didn't even know that was happening. Come back last week, got 2 stars.
Sorry, did you?
Am I getting Joe's star?
You got Joe's star, yeah.
Awesome.
It's basically it's so hard to move stars around I don't want to do it every single week. I just leave it there. That's fine to do that. That's okay. Now, for those of you watching live, Hagley's disappeared. If you have any questions, do shout out and put it into live chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's really weird because I'm really light down here because I've got my weird lights and I'm all dark up here. I need extra light, I think. Oh, there he is. Hagley's still in live chat. If you're watching this on YouTube and you have a question, either for us or for Greg over at TEBBO DORK, please put it in the comments below. And if we don't know the answer, I'll send it over to Greg and I'll just give him a call, wake him up, really annoy him, and just keep badgering him until he gives us the answer that you want and deserve. Okay? So, without further ado, is everybody ready?
I think so.
Okay, it is. It's the old line of ready, steady, and paint. So I'm going to switch everybody around to the mix cams. Steve, you can do yours yourself. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. We're all in our painted positions. Now, for those of you who watch this series regularly, why you would do that, I don't know. But why you would do that? I'm still painting the broadside from last session. Now, I painted a couple of minis last session. And I left out all the metallics because I knew, because I read the schedule, I knew that Greg was coming on. So that's what I'm going for, is to try to use the TEBBO DORK metallics and some shifter paints to bring these to life. Greg, what have you picked? You've picked a collection.
I've got. Oh man, I wish I knew the name of these guys.
I can find them. So you've got the Bulwark. Is that kind of? I call it the Resident Evil one. That's the Bulwark.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Nemesis character.
Yeah,
and then I've
exactly.
got Mr. Worm Rider is what I've been calling him, but
yeah, you got like a bronze worming going on.
Yep. And I've already started pre-painting, so I've cheated a little bit. So, but I'm not going for the awards today, so that's fine.
You're welcome back to compete if you want to. So the person riding the worm is a very sexual worm. This thing is. We get a lot of comments about sex on this show. I don't know why, but the person riding the worm exactly is the Hive Warden, which I think is a great name. But the worm is called the Corpse Chewer, which I think is pretty disgusting there. Over to you, Josh.
What's sexual about Hive Warden?
Not the Hive Warden. It's just the worm itself. I think there's a lot of
some connotations being involved.
Connotations. There's a lot of Barbarella going on. Josh, what have you picked on this week?
So I'm doing the other Stalker.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's two of these that are in the set. We did the first one last week. If you want to see the final of this, you can check it out on my Instagram or Twitter.
Yep.
I really like how that turned out. But I'm gonna do the second one this week. I'm gonna follow a similar style, but I'm gonna use obviously our TEBBO DORK Dark Net.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a.
I think we've all picked that one out. Really.
You all okay? Awesome.
Yeah,
so it's got kind of a black to green sort of tint to it, and if I do use the black undertones, that's I believe recommended on that one. But if I use some white in certain areas, I'll get a little bit of a different color as well.
You'll get a little bit. It'll actually kind of look a little like reddy gold. Kind of like
get a little bit of that reddish look. So I'm thinking about how I want to do that on this model. That's where I'm at.
Okay, that's cool. And Steve, I can see you're also doing the brood side. We're all doing the brood. Well, I'm doing the brood side.
I am, yes, doing the brood side. Yep. I'm going for a purple palette for the skin. I've already primed this in black and put some grey on for the skin, and we'll put some thin coats on in purple shades and try and just highlight it up using different lighter shades as I go. And then I've got some TEBBO DORKs, I've got some Bullion, I've got some Bee's Knees, I've got Red Rum, I've got some Afterburner, and I've got Darknet. So I'm going to do the Bladed Axe and Darknet, and then I'm going to do some of the other metallic, like they're like cages he's got around his leg and arms.
Right,
and I'll do them in a gold. and I'm going to try and blend the red rum and the afterburner together to make sort of a heated tip on this spear. So
Nice.
that's the plan.
Yeah, I love
Nice.
Afterburner for that.
It is it's
That's
a
gonna be
lovely
nice.
shade that.
So let's start by we'll talk to Greg for 5 minutes. You know, you came all this way.
We got a Greg. We got a Greg question.
we got a Greg question.
Oh, we have a great question. Oh,
We
We
okay.
do. We have a Greg question in the chat.
So it's from Hagley in chat. It says question for Greg. It should be for for us. Anyway, for the turbo shift, is it better for the black undercoat to be flat or gloss?
Right. Technically, gloss is better. However, I haven't used gloss in years. Honestly, it's hard to find a good gloss primer, and it's really hard to work with gloss. Especially like I'm personally more of an airbrusher than a hand brusher, and gloss wants the paint wants to beat up on it. I mean, it also does that on hand brush as well, but we kind of stopped recommending gloss a while ago, and you haven't really looked back. I think flat is actually way easier to work with. The main key is that for most of our shifts, there's a few that need to be over white or can be over other things, but the main thing is honestly that it needs a black undercoat. It doesn't really matter what that black is. It's just like, imagine if you're holding up a prism. If you put a black piece of construction paper behind a prism, you can see the colors through it, kind of like the Pink Floyd shirt.
Yeah.
Or the design. If you don't, it just kind of disappears, and that's usually what happens if you use it over white or something else. So we just go flat black all the way here. Most of the gloss, honestly, comes from the fact that we use a semi-gloss medium, so you don't really need to have gloss underneath, in my humble opinion.
I never thought to use gloss. I was using matte black paint, so I pre-primed for the epic encounters. This particular box, by the way, everybody, we're this whole series is about the epic encounters Gorkin. There we go, woo, plugged it, and we're still doing the minis. I've done a lot of the box so far. I'll zoom out a little bit, but you can see I've done most of the box. Still haven't done the worms. We have one episode to go, so there's still time. But I primed everything in white first, using a white spray primer, and then any bits I've used with Turbo Dork, I paint black. I use a matte black, and then just go over the top. And
Check this out. This is what I'm gonna do, right?
Ooh.
And I think this will help kind of showcase how these color shifters really work. So everything's in black, but I'm going to hit kind of the bottom piece here in a little bit of white dry brush.
Yeah.
And then right in the center where that light would hit on either side of the model, I hit it with a white dry brush. So what that should produce for us is that nice blackish green that's mixed into a little bit of that red tone and then back to that blackish green.
Nice.
So that should be pretty cool.
We actually kind of use that effect for one of our new Zenny shifts in Expansion 5. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera here, but we work that in so that like where it's black on the model, you get more of that kind of oily green effect, and then when it's white on the model, this one we tuned to be like a pleasing kind of peachy, warm red. But we kind of went with that. We found, Darknet was one of our first colors, and we found
Awesome.
at the time we didn't really like that because we hadn't learned how to control it, and then through watching painters like yourself, Josh, kind of work with that idea, then we've started doing these Zenny shifts so that they would actually be kind of like engineered to look good over those different colors. So I commend you for taking that on, that challenge.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. I really like how these paints work with the different base tones. I really like how the other one I really like. I think it's called Blue Steel.
Yeah.
I love Blue Steel. Yeah.
I always
That's
find
a
it
cool-
funny, like what is each particular person's favorite color, because it's always different.
Yeah.
I haven't heard Blue Steel in a really long time.
I love Blue Steel for anything like swords, metallics. There's just so much you can do with and that one will produce kind of you can get a little bit of a different tone out of that one depending on the different bases that you use.
Yeah, it's like that like cool metal, you know, it kind of looks like an old heavy metal kind of you know, poster effect.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
having a heck of a time trying to paint and talk.
I
can tell, like, so I can tell you the story of Turbo Dork and where the name came from was
Sure.
I wanted to do miniature streaming and paint, and I realized after like streaming for an hour that I had people like sitting in chat talking to me and I hadn't responded at all. And I was like, I don't know if I could do this whole like
Yep.
paint and talk thing.
You can't look up and paint at the same time. Yep.
It is very hard to do. So I am struggling with concentration, I will admit.
That's fine. At least you're not being judged in terms of the gold star. You're still being judged. I mean,
Right.
everyone's there going, and he paints.
Yeah,
he makes
I know it's
paints,
funny.
but he can't paint.
You called me a pro painter, and I was like, I don't know if I'm a pro painter. I make paint for other people.
There you go. That's the same thing. You're a pro paint maker. I don't know. Pro.
Yeah, I'm a paintsman, but I do you know, I do it for other people. Uh-oh, cats. I'm experimenting with trying to use some contrast paints to try to give my pink dude a cool green kind of undertone. He already has the green undertone of the Fey Wilds, which is one of our new colors. But I want to do kind of like a green wash on his kind of sick muscle areas. Oh, hi cat. For the stream.
Yeah, these are. Although the minis are of these weird ghouls, and I've said it every episode so far, so I'll say it again. These are not your typical monsters. You will not find these monsters in the D&D Monsters Manual, for example. So something, and I think this is the first time that Steamforge Games and Epic have actually done that, and it's really interesting to see how they do it. But you put this in front of a table, they will be wondering what the hell has just happened, because they will not be ready for this.
I just love the presentation of when you open the box of one of the epic encounters.
Yep.
And you just see all the minis and they're all ready to go, and you have the booklet and you have the play mat. It's like, you know, it is such an amazing presentation for somebody who's new to role playing like myself to like kind of have it curated for me. And the minis are awesome. I mean, it's also really nice not having to build them. You know, you know, I pulled this guy out, primed him, and had him zenithal, and then had color on him like within minutes.
Yep.
And you know, I've also been really enjoying like 3D printing and stuff like that, but it's so much work, you know, to just be able to pop this box open and have an experience that was like cool. Was like, okay, I can go for this. And that dragon that Meredith painted, yeah, that you commented on earlier, was just like, it is so cool. Like the fact that is the centerpiece mini.
Well, I mean, there's so. I mean that for those of you who don't know, if you're just kind of listening to this and you haven't seen Epic Encounters, do go check them out. But they generally come in kind of two boxes. You get the army in one box, and then the second box, which kind of goes with the set, is the boss. So for the Red Dragon is the boss to the kobolds, the kobold set, which as you play the story, is kind of like a one shot in the box. It leads you to the lair of the Red Dragon, and the miniature. I say miniature. It's pretty big. I mean, it's big. I don't how big would you say it was? It's like a kind of.
Oh, it's at least a foot wide wingspan.
Yeah.
And maybe like 7 inches tall. It is a big mini.
It is very, very big. But the dragon is standing on its own dragon horde, and it just looks beautiful. And when you paint it up, and I haven't painted it up yet, not yet, but it is it is beautiful to see. It is literally epic in scale, and I've seen other people paint it. It is a true dragon's horde. You can just imagine all of that, especially again. I'm gonna brag about Turbo Dog because I didn't know about Turbo Dog. I was only introduced to you guys earlier this year in terms of your paints, and so doing some research and then getting in touch with you guys was only because I thought, okay, Turbo Dog, and I heard, oh yeah, they do metallics. I was like, okay, bronze, silver, gold. Those are metallics. And then looking at the complete range, and we'll have a look at all the other paints and stuff. Looking at the range of metallics you've got, I've got some here. There's red. It's a metallic red rump. It is beautiful. And then you've got silver fox, which is a gorgeous. It's like a mirror effect. It's like pure silver. How I imagine pure silver to look like. It is gorgeous. And then you have these kind of you call them shifter paints, and they have multiple colours in them, which are great. They really do capture the light. When you have a miniature that's painted and it's on the table and it's in play, it looks stunning. And then I was just blown away by the amount of variety that's there, and a lot of crazy names. They weren't straightforward names. It wasn't like, hi, this is metallic red, this is metallic green.
I pride ourselves on our kind of accidental marketing fun of like coming up with fun names, because it was one of those things. It was like this whole company came about because I was looking for People Leader, which is our metallic purple, and nobody had a saturated purple. And I wanted to paint an Emperor's Children's Army in 40K. I still haven't painted that army come 4.5 years later of having Turbo Dork. But I basically spent like a year kind of teaching myself. Oh, cats.
Cat attack.
Cat attack.
I basically spent a year teaching myself and going back to school and learning organic chemistry and like how do you make paint, and put it online, and we got tweeted about and had distribution set up within like the first 6 hours of being online. It was like kind of crazy. But we've just kind of made our mark with those funny names and with those really bright colors. Like I'm painting this guy that is like super pink right now, and it has been one of our best sellers with this launch. Oh, cat attack. Okay, Callie, that's just super awkward. My cats have no respect.
You will pay us some attention.
Yeah. Here, do you want to sit here? It's gonna screw up the stream, but you can sit there. Yeah. Okay.
It's like, human, my cushion.
Yeah.
Attend me.
I'll just be tiny up in the corner now. But yeah, it's one of those things that's like, I just love saturation. I was a professional photographer before doing this, and a lot of my career was like fashion photography, and I loved color and texture, and I felt like the mini world was missing a lot of that. Like we had a lot of beautiful greens and browns and natural tones and like the natural silvers and natural golds, but nothing that kind of took it out of that realm into something that was more kind of current and poppy. So I just kind of set out about on that, and you're mentioning silver fox. Silver fox is one of our kind of more normal colors almost, but I wanted to make my own take on it. I felt like if we were going to do normal metallics, they had to be something special. So that line actually took a really long time because we didn't want to just make what everybody else made. Same thing with everyone's making contrast and speed paints right now, and it's like if we were going to tackle it, we would have to kind of come up with our own vision for it. To be able to like why would somebody pick us over another paint line? Okay, cat's gone. Hey, I love you, Callie. But come back later. But I'm doing that thing where I'm trying to like paint and talk, and I can't do it.
It's all good. It's all good. Just a shout out. If you have any questions for us or for Greg, do shout out. Big Tough Pete is saying, don't know, but has anyone asked why the name Turbo Dork? You missed the beginning.
Yeah, I was gonna be the Turbo Dork, and that was gonna be my handle for streaming, and I just did not have the knack for it. And I kind of sat on the name for a while, and then it was like, you know what, we've got these hyper colors, like we might as well kind of give it its own, spin.
Mm-hmm.
And so we became Turbo Dork. But yeah, it was all kind of my failed launch of being a mini streamer. If you look out there, I think there's still one of my first videos. I was painting some um, Stormcast Eternals from Shadespire. But yep. We also had Hyper Nerd. Hyper Nerd was my photography company. So, but that got a little confusing because every time our accountant would be like, "Okay, we're dealing with Turbo Dork or Hyper Dork or Hyper Nerd." It was like, no, okay, figure this out.
Which nerd dork? Like,
Yeah, it was a little too
who are we
close.
dealing with here?
Yeah.
That's fine.
But yeah, I mean, we're just a bunch of weird people that like bright colors. Is pretty much how I describe us.
So why did you make a decision? So do you still do the photography? Because that must give you a good idea for color and a good eye for how things come together. But you said you went back to school to learn chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that come about?
Honestly, the photography industry changed over the last, well, it's been 5 years since I've really been a professional photographer, but
Mm-hmm.
as digital kind of came up in like 2005 to 2008, the whole industry shifted, and it's kind of like a weird bittersweet thing because it was like what I did for 15 years and I studied in school and
Yeah.
had been my passion at the time, but then as the iPhone came to be and like all of these new cameras and all of the new AI stuff in Photoshop, the need for photographers has really kind of changed. And
Yeah.
also social media and like I would say like photos aren't nearly as permanent as they used to be. It used to be you could like take a great picture of like Chris Farley and you could license and sell that picture for years and years and years. But now it's like you put a photo on Instagram and it's gone tomorrow. So it became more of a thing like companies were hiring full-time photographers, in-house to generate content for them,
Yeah.
less so bringing in like a big hitter to make like a custom campaign. So yeah, like I've worked for nail polish companies, fashion companies, shoe companies, but it all kind of like pretty much about right around when TurboDork was starting was kind of going away. And a lot of our clients were kind of bringing people in or hiring in house. So I was kind of losing some work, and TurboDork was like my de-stressor, or I should say, painting miniatures was my de-stressor. And then I came up with 16 colors and put them online, and I'd asked my fiance Meredith at the time, and was like, "Hey, do you think anybody would want these colors? Like if I came out with a bunch and put them online?" She's like, don't quit your day job, and put them online, and yeah, it just like it blew up and took off, and
Good.
Meredith and I now are have been full time for 4 years doing this, and yeah, it's a little weird being out of the photography world. I mean, but it also has just changed a lot. Um, it's yeah, like the expectations in photography are different than
Mm-hmm.
um, when I went to school for it. Um, but I found a lot of joy in learning organic chemistry and polymer synthesis and just kind of creating these cool colors. Like I get equal amounts of pleasure watching other people make cool stuff with our paints. Like just seeing our like Instagram hashtag and like scrolling through it every day and just seeing the cool shit that people make is just so nice and and super rewarding because I still get to kind of feel like I'm in that creative realm, if I'm not directly doing the creativity,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Well, I think there's definitely from a as a beginner painter, I should say, finding out about you guys was brilliant because it wasn't. It was someone else. It wasn't a big name, so to speak. It wasn't Citadel or anyone else like that. That's
Right.
in all the shops, and it was recommended. I was like, well, I haven't seen those, and we actually. I think it was UK Games Expo in this year, Steve. We saw one very small retailer at a convention. It's like a 3-4 day convention over here. It's like I was gonna say our Gen Con, but it's not. It's much smaller than that, but it's big for us.
Yeah.
A very small retailer had a selection of TEBBO DORK paints. It was like, oh, I've heard about those. Look, there's someone who sells them, and we can actually buy them. It wasn't, they were in reach. You could pick them up and have a look.
Probably Exit 23 was that?
I have no idea, of the company.
Chris at Exit 23 was our first UK retailer, and he sells a lot online. And he goes to UK Game Expo, and he's been great because it was, it's hard to sell internationally, and he took a chance on us way back when, and I mean we think hobby is big here in the States, but it is nothing compared to you guys. It's like, so many people that I know that came from the UK like grew up playing Games Workshop stuff, and I did too. But that's a rarity here. But like everybody over there, right? It's like it's much more of a common thing, and so I wanted to be able to kind of be in the market of the motherland of of Games Workshop and the hobby.
Everyone, it's like a rite of passage.
Yeah,
you will do this.
Yeah. You will paint Games Workshop.
You will get someone will introduce it to you. So it's like a secret handshake. That's what it is.
Yeah, if you're a nerd during this particular time period, like you will be playing orcs or like
Yeah. All right. I'm doing my base a little bit different. Maybe some brighter colors on my base this time. I don't know how well it's showing up there without the light on, but a little bit brighter with those greens and and yellows. Versus last time I did more greens and browns, a little bit of a darker green. But when I base that with that nasty looking fuzzy green that I did kind of on the first one, I think it's really going to pop. And I'm doing that on purpose because I want it to pop because I'm using these color shifters. So I don't know. I think it's going to be cool. Taking some inspiration from Steve's colorful approach that he did last time.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I was gonna say, is that like the kind of reference to the old Goblin green bases that all the old Warhammer Fantasy was done in?
Yeah. It will be kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm using a little bit of a poppier color on them worms too. I used a deep purple with a little bit of yellow, and this time I used a red with a little bit of yellow. So a little bit of a different pop there too. This is gonna be cool. I'm about ready to get into now the color shifting, so I'm getting excited.
Cool. We are doing. So I've just finished painting I'm doing both arms or both hands. So I've just painted them black. I'm gonna let that rest and dry up. Previously, before we went on air, I pre-painted two of the humanoid looking things, and on different episodes I use shifter paint. So I'm going to try this one because this one looks cool. It says Ice to Never. So it's got the purple and it's got a light blue. So I'm going with that oily skin, and just to see how all these colours come out, which is gorgeous. Actually, I've got a question. So here's a question. So if you can see my mini cam, let me zoom out so everyone else can see. Right, this is blue. Okay, and then this one, which is It's called Siberia. It's like a really deep, rich purple. It's a shifted paint, but it's white.
Yep.
So how did that come about? You mentioned chemistry. Here's a chemistry question. Now I've used this, and obviously it paints on clear or white, but
Yep.
then it changes color. What's the chemical reaction happening here? Talk us through. Give us a science lesson.
So it's less of a chemical reaction than it is more, kind of how I was mentioning earlier, like the Pink Floyd Prism.
Mm-hmm.
So some of our new colors, Cold Open, Siberia, Galaxia, and I think you also have like Blue Raspberry, some of our older colors.
Yep.
Um, they're essentially like liquid prisms. There's like millions of tiny little mica flakes that have been perfectly engineered to only reflect or refract particular wavelengths of light.
Mm-hmm.
Something like Ice to Never is a very similar concept too, but it has a larger flake size and has a little more like regular pigment in it too to kind of give it that blue undertone. That one, the prism effect from the mica is more of the kind of the purple shift that's on top of it.
Yeah.
But we've been playing around with kind of more, and unfortunately, it's a little confusing because of course it's like a white bottle of paint that doesn't look like it has pigment in it,
Mm-hmm.
but then it's very very colorful when you use over black.
It is
And
gorgeous.
it's basically more of like a yeah.
Yeah.
I just love. Are you holding up? I think Siberia or Galaxia.
We've got Siberia and Ice to
Siberia.
Never here. Yeah.
Yeah, Siberia is like a beautiful dark blue purple. And yeah, you just would never expect that out of a white bottle. And it's just kind of a physics thing. We combine a lot of different pigments on our end to make what we do, and that was just one of those that it's like to get that depth, we couldn't have anything else in it. It just had to be like pure pigment or pure prism essentially.
So there you go. I mean, this is the Ice to Never. It is blue on the brush, and just painting it over the. And it doesn't feel like a paint. I mean, I guess to me it's more like a wash, and then it dries, and then you can put another coat on, depending on how much you want to. Because I don't have to be that careful really, which is quite
Right.
fun for a beginner. Not being that careful really helps.
It's funny because that's one of those things that's like a little frustrating, I think, for some people because it's like I don't want to have to put three coats of something on there.
Mm-hmm.
But the nice thing is because you're building up that effect, yeah, you don't have to be quite as careful with it. You can really put it on, go back, readjust it, go back, readjust it, and kind of like get that effect over time. And it's not like a one or done thing where like if you're putting black paint over something white, I mean, you got to get it right the first time,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really kind of build into that effect. But yeah, in terms of the consistency, like we kind of try to toe the line halfway between like hand brush and airbrush paint. I'm traditionally more of a airbrusher, and but half of our customers are hand brushers. So we go in between, so they're like a little bit thinner than you would expect normally for a hand brush, but that thinness then lets you do those super thin layers to build that effect up.
Yep.
Um,
Because
like
airbrush is something I've not yet tried. So that's quite interesting to know that you can use these in airbrushes as well. That's cool.
yeah, like I almost never hand brush our stuff, and it's not because I don't like hand brushing or hand brushing with our paints. I grew up doing airbrush, and that was
Mm-hmm.
just like it's how my brain works. So like the little example guys I brought today were was honestly 5 minutes of airbrushing, and you get this you get the full coverage and all the different shading and stuff like that like instantly.
Yeah.
But you have to work your color schemes around that because now I've got a dude that's fully painted and I have to paint over it with other stuff, so you have to kind of plan for that ahead of time. You can't build up kind of the more patchwork paint style that you would if you like primed gray or primed white. Um, it's nice for getting stuff on the tabletop.
Yeah.
You get to have something that's like, kind of painted and at least color coded very easily. So like I was gonna do, my brutes as the Feywilds and or bulwarks as the Feywilds and Mr. Sandworm, and Hemogoblin. And you can kind of crank through stuff with the airbrush really quickly like that. But it's just a different tool, you know. Yeah.
It is really really nice because as you say the instant gratification you get, you can see it straight away. I mean, you can see how reflective. This is just a single coat, and I'm not even finished, but you see how reflective that is. Now, when that
Yeah.
dries, that's really gonna pop. But I want more of that, so that's what I'm going for.
I'll tell you
What if
two things that you can do with this kind of paint that's like phenomenal. If you don't want to paint like the whole sculpt, get something that has kind of those darker tones.
Mm-hmm.
And I've used it to do, I've used both blue steel and dark nut just to do your dry brush highlighting on models.
Ooh.
And you get phenomenal. Like, I mean, it looks amazing to go back on a model and just, you should be careful. You got to use a very, very small amount. And you use it just to do that highlight dry brushing, and that model will look unbelievable. Even if if it has any types of metallics or metals or anything like that, it just looks phenomenal. So I've
Like
used
that.
it. I've used it for that, and then I've also used it for if you really, really want amazing shadows on models or in like darker crevices and where you would generally just wash. And let's say it's like a fantasy based model, use that shifter paint to get to do that, to be the shadows. And when you use color to represent shadows, we talked a little bit about this last week, like that is phenomenal too once you kind of get the hang of that. And it's really easy with these paints because all you got to do is just dab it on there and the paint does everything for you.
It's funny, yeah. People ask like, how do you highlight or how do you shade your paint? And it's like, well, at least for the shifters, they're kind of doing it on their
Yeah.
own, to some extent. But I really like the idea of using them for the shadows, yeah, because yeah, people don't think about the fact that like at least for like skin tones and things like that, there's like different undertones in the shadow than there are in the highlights, and most shadows are actually particularly cold. But you can also use like a warm shadow tone to like really change the effect on a miniature, or yeah, it's like once you start like one of my favorite things like okay, so like I have an old Tyranid army that I painted, and it is was before TurboDork. But it was one of those things like I used green, and then I used like Agrax to do like a brown wash on it, and then I dry brushed with like Averland Sunset, so like a nice warm yellow, and like having those kind of three different color ranges, but all in the one area, really makes it come alive. Um, and I think yeah, getting to that like next level in painting where um, you're kind of adjusting out of just like one single hue and you're bringing in the kind of like the complementary rainbow, like oranges and reds and yellows all playing against each other. um, yeah, now I'm just rambling, but yeah, I thoroughly agree.
Yeah. And it just I just love how quick you get the different looks. I mean there are some things I'm doing with like brush technique and pressure in certain areas, but it just literally putting the paint on the model, if you've got the basing right,
Mm-hmm.
it just, it's amazing what, I'll pop just to give an example here. Hopefully it comes up. Hopefully it can be seen here on camera well, but let's see here. Yeah, it's so hard with my lighting camera set up, but wait till it comes up here. It's quite a bit
You
of
need to go up a little bit. There we go. Ooh, yeah.
okay.
Oh
It'll
yeah.
catch up here on the stream in a second. But you can see that color variation and that difference where it went from that blackish green to
Yeah.
that reddish on those highlights that we did with the white, and then that back leg is just flat black, right? So you can see like how much you get right with that shine that change.
Yeah.
pieces provide.
That's neat to use it just as like a little kind of topper on there.
Yep.
I love how people come up with new ideas to use our stuff. I'm very much like I came from like a space marine world and I'm like I just want red, or just want blue. But to see like that kind of like modulation technique and it's just super cool.
Yeah, and if you're watching the stream, definitely go and check out because we post all these things to Twitter and Instagram when we're done, right? So then you can really see nice up close pictures of these. And I think you can really appreciate kind of what these things are able to do.
Yeah, I wish the stream was like 8K or something like that so I could zoom in on on what we're doing. Even my own, I'm like, what am I painting? I can't see this thing at all.
That's the next step. We need if you would like to sponsor Panda Badgers,
Yeah, exactly. How do
and
we,
the brush off, how do we help us get to 8K?
You get like a red dragon 8K camera and
and for all of our guests as well.
you could make like a little camera package that you send around the world for people to plug in and use. We thought about that if we were going to do podcasts. We were going to make sure we had like good mics that we could send to people.
Good idea.
Just like send them a little care package.
I mean that's just one coat, and that's really popped out. There's a lot of blue in there.
Beautiful, yeah.
I can't believe that's one coat, and the black prime colours really picked up the base. So any shadows is obviously going to dark. Now all the rest, everything that you can see is white. That's going to be kind of a padded bone colour from Army Painter. So we have a human skull in its hand.
Yeah.
And all these bone protrusions. So that's all going to be bone. And the base, I've been painting all my bases red, like blood red. So bits and pieces in there. And that we're going to make all this a gloss varnish. So it actually looks like it's blood. Wet blood. And I wanted these to all have like oily skins. All different colours. I think that's really nice. Let's do another one. I've got another one. Let's try one of your. So we kind of hinted earlier, and we talked a little bit about expansion pack 5. I have some of those packs. Talk us through some of the colours. What can people expect in Wave 5?
Lots of pinks.
No. Yeah, there are pinks actually. Yeah. And what's your favourite? Oh look, there's a green. There's a horrible sickly green. I might try that. I might try that next.
Ooh, summoning sickness. Oh, please try that. That is one of
Summoning
that's like
sickness.
Okay, technically it's not part of expansion 5.
Oops.
It's came out kind of at the same time and it was a replacement for another color.
Yep.
That unfortunately we can't make anymore, which is called seafood. But summoning sickness has become my new favorite, like Nurgle, like sick green.
We'll
Apple
try
seed's
that.
really beautiful too if you want like a bright kind of anime green. But summoning sickness just really, I feel like it screams wargaming green. But yeah, in terms of our new colors, it's a little scattershot if I'm being honest. It's a lot of what we spend the year, we do hundreds of tests, and it's kind of what strikes our fancy and really kind of sings to us. So like as a child from the 80s, colors like Hotline really, shout out to me, which is like I love like a blue pink magenta thing. It's just like highlighter in your face color. A lot of our colors are in your face colors. But like Romeo and Juliet is a Zenny shift, so if you like kind of how Josh was painting, but you'd get like a purple effect over black and then you get pink over white. Fey Wilds, well, I've put enough washes on my guy here, my Bulwark, but my Bulwark was Fey Wilds, and so he was green in the shadows and pink on the highlights. It's interesting to try dry brushing. I hadn't tried that, so I'm gonna have to do that with some of these Zenny shifts.
You mentioned black and white. You have the
Yep.
change. You've got so on a previous TEBBO shift, the label goes from left to right. So this one has purple very much to kind of like an orangey hot pink.
Right.
And that's let them eat cake. While this one, you've gone top to bottom. Or
So
bottom
we're
to top.
trying to work through a better way to call out our Zenny shifts, and those are
Okay.
the colors that that kind of are specifically engineered to work over black or white. So the way we started doing that was those ones are vertical on the color swatch.
Yeah.
If it goes left to right, it's kind of a traditional shift. Most of our traditional shifts don't particularly look good if you put them over white. They have to be over the base color that they're is on the back of it. Like Let Them Eat Cake needs to be over black. Looks like nothing over white. But so we're kind of trying to call out the like 6 Zenny shifts that we happen to have that are kind of engineered and chosen to look good over Zenithal colors.
Yeah.
And almost nobody reads the side of the bottle, so the fact that you're
I
actually
do.
showing that off is quite nice. Yeah.
I do.
It's very rare, very, very rare that anybody ever looks at that.
But this is
but
why it's good, because again, when you sent me these paints, I was like, oh, shift paints. What do I do? Okay, yeah, shake well. Yeah, make sure the nozzle is empty. Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, I need a black. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, and then it was because I'd previously, so on Great British Brush Off, on a previous episode, we'd used shifting paint from, I think it may have been Vallejo, Steve?
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
It was Vallejo. Yeah.
And Joe and Steve didn't tell me what you were supposed to do, so I just painted it over the plastic, the mini, and it's like, this doesn't look too good.
Right.
I've done something wrong here. And then your instructions are, it must paint on black, so you got to paint it black first, or prime it black first, and then paint over it. But then also 3 to 5 layers on top. I did one. I was like, this is. Has the bottle gone wrong? Is the paint gone funny? Or is it just too watered? Did I not shake it enough?
Right.
Has it been sitting in the shelf? So I think the instructions are great. Don't lose the instructions.
Yeah, no, I won't. Yeah. I just wish more people would actually read it.
Yeah.
Because it is, they're different types of paints than you would expect. Especially if it looks white in the bottle, and then you buy it on this store shelf, and you're like, what happened to this thing? This is not right. And it's like, no, it's supposed to be that way. Just put it over black, and it'll be fine.
Because you see all these, you're like, oh look, there's colours, and then there's 2 white ones, but it's like, well, that's purple, and this one is like a bluey colour. Why isn't it? But yeah, it's just a chemical. It's just stuff that's inside.
Yeah, it's just how light works, and Mother Nature is a miracle sometimes.
Here's a question for you, actually. In terms of your favourite turbo DORK paint colours, whether it's metallic or shifter paints, do you have bigger bottles just for yourself? Do you have like a bucket,
that's actually
a pint of?
That is a very good question.
Yeah, can we get it in bigger bottles? Is the question.
Yeah, if you message me, nah. We get that question a lot, actually, of people wanting bigger bottles, and I always offer like we could make pints for you, but it ends up being like $100 a pint, and people don't necessarily want to spend that kind of money. For us at home, or at the office, I should say, which is also like home for me these days. Yeah, I've got really big bottles of all these. I think the ones from Expansion 5, I have like a half-gallon bottle that I use, and I decanted it into like 120 ml, kind of like pretty decent sized big dropper.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like whenever we need a color, we can just mix it up, and we can have however many gallons of it we need. Our batch size is usually 3 gallons, and we bake like 350 bottles when we make that. And I'll usually kind of skim off a little bit and kind of take home whatever I need.
Just skim off the top. Yes.
It's not really skimming, since it's I'm the one making the paint, but you know what I mean.
I make it. I can take what I damn well please.
Yep. But yeah, we've got big bottles of paint at the office. The other trade-off is like you don't necessarily want to have to shake the whole thing up, and it's not the easiest thing to work with at tabletop. So we'll sometimes just bring the little. We'll grab a 20 ml bottle off the shelf and work with it.
Hmm.
Okay, I think I like how my guy's going. I'm just gonna do.
I'm about to try
Dark.
this one. This is the summoning sickness, as you said. So this one is now
Yes.
going to. We'll give that a go. Let's put that there. So.
I think
Ha-
you'll enjoy.
we are at the top, nearly at the top of the hour. How's everyone doing? Steve, you've been really quiet.
Oh, I am in major concentration mode.
You were in the zone.
Yeah, because I've got loads of layering to do on his skin because I've just decided to do this complicated paint job. I can't see a thing. My eyes are knackered today. I was trying to pin myself.
It's because we've had a grey day here in the UK. It's been warm and muggy and groggy and everything else.
Right.
Oh,
There is. Will it focus? Will it focus?
Just going to shout out as well. Again, for those of you watching live, if you have a question, do shout out for Greg from TEBBO DORK. Do shout out. If you're watching this on YouTube, put your comment in the put your question in the comments below, and we'll endeavour to get the answers for you.
If that's going to show up better with the light off. Yeah, maybe. So yeah, I've been layering up my skin with various different shades of purple and getting towards pink. So yeah, I've set myself a task of painting over this mini about 20 times. So I'm concentrating a lot. What's the matter with this new phone? It's not focusing very well.
Use
Always
the old.
been
Oh no, I
wanted
was going
like
to say you could use the old phone, but you gave it to one of the kids.
Yeah, I did. So yeah, that's all I've done is just the skin. So I need to crack on and get some turbo shifters on the arms, which is the other part I want to do. But that's
looking
all I've
good
done
though.
so far is the skin.
I love all these different color schemes that we've come up with too for these guys. Because I've never been much of a painted off the box art kind of guy, so it's cool to see that other people are in the same camp.
Well, see, that's the
We've
weird
weaned
thing.
Dave off that.
Yeah, I am.
Oh no.
I
No.
I
Just
do
kidding.
paint based on the box artwork or Monsters Manual or something like that.
Yeah.
And actually, using your shifter paints has been the thing that got me off. That sounds rude.
Oh yeah. I feel you on that one.
Yeah, we got a century cam. It's
Wow.
basically
And you heard it here first.
yeah.
Yeah.
It got it. I'm gonna say again. It made me switch channels because it was like, oh, I can try these different things, but it picks up the light around. So you said you're a photographer.
Yep.
I'm a designer, so I work with both. I come from a graphic design background, but I work digitally now. And seeing how this reacts to different types of light, especially
Yeah.
on the gaming table, is just amazing. So it really has allowed me to kind of break free from my own trappings.
That's really cool.
Self-imposed jail of following the box
Yeah.
art.
Yeah,
Creativity jail.
yeah.
Well, I've always found like what I like about this is it's like hopefully this isn't offensive to anybody. It's like adult color by numbers. It's like to kind of have like a pre-prescribed color scheme is actually really nice. Because you kind of feel like you're making something and you don't have to like it's like a very relaxing process.
Yeah.
But then yeah, playing around with metallics and shifts is like you kind of get to this other I wouldn't even say like another level. It's just like an alternative idea of like, oh, but this looks cool. I should just go with this. I don't. It's maybe not blood angels or it's
Mm-hmm.
not this particular dragon, but it's pleasing to me and that's what matters. And I also like you know colorful things and showing off, and I like the idea that like you can make a cool thing that you put in the tabletop and it's easy to do, and it's eye catching because so much of like honestly so much of like painting a cool army and bringing it to like a store to play with is about kind of the show off, you know, like you want to show your painting skills and you want something cool on the tabletop.
Well, weirdly, it's for us, for me and Steve, we've been asked a number of times now. Would we do? And it's weird because it's only because doing this show, the Great British Brush Off, that we've been asked. But we've been asked to do painting lessons or a painting table at conventions here in the UK.
Yeah.
And there's only two. That's the UK Games Expo and Dragon Meet. But we've been asked by various people, do we want to do it? And it's a case of, well, we do, but you do realise that we're also beginners. I mean, all my painting has been in front of a camera. Now, I would feel kind of a bit of a hypocrite standing in front of people and going, yeah, you painted this way. Follow my instructions. I've been doing this for 12 months as a hobby. Of course I know what I'm talking about.
But you've been thinking about it for a long time.
Yes,
so...
Yeah.
I've been using minis for a long time. Been playing D&D since I was about 12, so yeah. But yeah, and then it was like, okay, it's nice to be asked, but how do we do it? What do we do? When we've heard of, we bring up Gen Con, when we've heard of things where they have painting tables, and it's like you can have the mini, and when you paint it, take it, it's yours. So it's trying to like find companies who will give us paints and minis that we could do that with. But then there's transport, there's setup, there's how do we do this? It's very weird. It's like we only have this show, but it's great that people are thinking about us in that way. I'd happily do it, but we need to shop as well. I love shopping.
Oh yeah, I know. We're gonna be we're just starting the convention circuit again this year. After COVID, we're gonna start at Warfare Weekend next weekend in St. Louis, and then we're gonna go to PAX Unplugged in Philly after that. And yeah, one of my favorite things is just seeing all of the different booths and all of the different stuff at once that everyone's got. How much cool stuff there is that I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
But yeah, like paint takes are such a valuable thing for the industry. You know, we did kind of like a little preview night for Expansion 5 month and a half ago at a store here, and it was cool to just get like people who'd never painted a miniature before came in and messed around with stuff, and you know, just introduced people to the hobby, you know, and it was just really rewarding to kind of to share this thing with people, you know, because it is a very relaxing, fun thing that's like I said, kind of adult paint by numbers, but like it's fun to just sit here, and I'm even just putting wash on this guy and I'm just having fun, you know, watching the kind of shade you know, give him definition and appear, and like it just gives it like, you know, brings it to life, and it's cool to be the person doing that, you know.
You mentioned that, I'm just gonna get the other minis out. So these are, sorry for the noise everybody. There we go.
It is a very
Crinkle.
de-stressing hobby.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Look at this. Look, I've got like Power Rangers going on. Look at this. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Let's try and move them that way around. I will try and zoom in a little bit. Vump. Here we go.
Oh my god, they are like Power Rangers.
And
it's like your superhero team up.
Yeah, those are shifter colours, but you can see that how the change of colour is so different between them all. We have a purple. We have this is the grass. It's still wet. We've got a bright blue, and we've got like a greeny bluey, like a teal colour there. And that's what it's going to look like when I put all the bone paint on there and the skull. It really pops up, and the red base.
That's going to look cool. So
yeah, that's the one I've just done. So that's the sickening green, summoning sickness. That one there. So that is looking that is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Again, thank you for joining us, but also thank you for sending them over. It's great.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for being able to take the time and to play with these too. Like it's just I don't know, it's just fun to share. And again, I get so much enjoyment watching people make cool stuff with our colors. So it's infectious, to see your paint jobs.
Steve, how are we doing? Because we cannot see your mini on camera.
Sorry.
You're keeping it completely top secret.
Yeah, keep it secret, keep it safe.
I am just trying to layer this up, and I'm now into the light colours, and I don't want to.
So I'm going to go back to
Screw it
my
up.
brood sign now. I'm going to do the blades. His left hand and his right hand. I'm going to try the dark net and the red rum. Got to get some murder in there somewhere. Murder. I use So here's a question. In terms of mixing the paint in the pot, does it need a good shake?
Oh yeah.
I also use a spinner. I have an individual spinner. Is it?
That should work. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
We use like a vortex shaker at the office.
Yeah.
Or I just shake the bejesus out of it by hand. Yeah, depending on how long it's been since you used that color last, I would definitely shake the heck out of it. We used to have these little like tips and tricks cards that we would put in all of our orders, and one of the tips was like, shake more than you think you should.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hagley has a question in chat. He says, "Is Wave 5 available at our local gaming stores that carry TEBBO DORK now, or is there a due date?"
It went live on Friday, and I know that at least something like 100 of our retailers have it, and for being live on Friday, it depends on who your particular store is, but it should be there, and it should be in the UK. I think Element Games has it, and I know Chris at Exit 23 has them. It's hard
Chris
coordinating
at
launches
Exit
like
23. Shout! Get in touch. Get in touch. Maybe we could do something at the conventions. You see,
Yeah.
if you've got your paint stall, and then we can your retail table. Maybe we can paint. So do a team up.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I think Chris is he found us online, but I think Exit 23 is most well known for Blood Bowl miniatures.
Yeah.
Because there's like a huge community of third-party Blood Bowl miniatures, and I know that he sculpts and casts and sells those. But yeah, which we just got into Blood Bowl here actually in Texas recently too, so that's been fun.
You mentioned right at the start of the show that you've only recently just got into role-playing games.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I've been one of those nerds from the beginning that I've had almost every role-playing and D&D book since I was 8. But I grew up in a small town in New Hampshire, and I never had a community to play with.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always just kind of reading the books and kind of imagining like cool scenarios and ideas and stuff, but hadn't actually played in real life until recently. But yeah, we have friends here that one of them was like, "Hey, you like gaming, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, we like gaming." He's like, "I'm thinking about running a Pathfinder campaign," and we're like, "Yes, please." So yeah, we're like 3 or 4 sessions in now.
Cool.
I'm playing a catfolk swashbuckler, very much like Puss in Boots, called Teddy
Nice.
Mithril, based off of Freddie Mercury. And technically, it's an evil campaign, which is interesting for my first go at it. We've only done a little bit of mayhem so far. It's more just about gathering power. But it's been awesome. Yeah, I used Eldritch Foundry, and customized a miniature for myself and then 3D printed it, and I'm painting him with the internet's favorite technique, slap chop, and using
Yep.
I love using speed paints and contrast paints and stuff over things. It's like just it makes painting quicker and looks great. But yeah, it feels funny at 38 to finally be doing something that I want to do at 8 years old. 30 years later, but I actually get to kind of truly do role playing and stuff like that now, which has been cool.
Yep.
I'm not so good at the voices, I will be honest, but practice.
The
will make
voices will come along. Yeah, they'll get there.
Yeah.
So, what path of adventure are you playing? What adventure path?
What adventure path?
Is it homebrew or an adventure?
Completely homebrew, yeah. So I don't know where we're going with all of this. Which is good considering I've read so much that at least I'm gonna get surprised.
Yeah.
Ah,
I think I saw today, Dave, that Kingmaker's been unreleased. Is that right?
Been unreleased.
Been released.
Yeah.
unreleased.
I was going to say, been unreleased. How
It's been
dare they?
retracted.
It said unlocked, I think, on the message that popped up on my phone. So I was trying to get the word out that wasn't.
Yeah.
That wasn't that.
It is. Kingmaker is out, I believe, but it has not yet arrived. The physical copy, though, Steve, has not yet arrived.
Yeah.
In the UK, to my knowledge. And that's just the 3 and 4 retailers that I keep harassing for Pathfinder gear.
Isn't Kingmaker a computer version of Pathfinder?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kingmaker was a Pathfinder 1, 6-issue adventure path, and then it became a computer game. Now, the best thing about the computer game was it told you how you should be playing Kingmaker, the module game. Because it's such a big open world that you do the kind of first mission. You're like, well, how do I do this? How do I manage this? And it never really made sense. And then when I played the computer game, it was like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. And it made complete sense. And then when we were talking to Paizo, this is back when I was doing Rise of the Rune Lords, I said that I'm really looking forward to doing Kingmaker, but they released Kingmaker as a Kickstarter, and it just happened to be I'd already done too many Kickstarters at that point, so I wasn't able to back it. And then, as usual, everything got delayed over the past couple of years. Manufacture delays, shipping delays, just general delays.
Yep.
So the Kickstarter has now finally all been delivered, and it is now into a retail release, because they weren't allowed to retail. I don't know if they're not allowed, but you can't do it until all the backers have got their version, basically.
Right.
But now it's out, or due out very soon.
That's cool. And it has not been retracted.
Yeah, and it has not been
withdrawn.
retracted. But it is a really good adventure, and it allows your players around the table to literally rule a kingdom. So it's a piece of land. It's a big plot of, not a plot of land. It's an area of this country, and there are bandits and thieves and smugglers and thugs, and you have to go in and bring law to the chaos. And when you've done that, your reward is that you can rule that land. So when you get to that,
cool.
when you get to that stage, you then have to. It's like a god building game. You get all these supplies. How do you rule? How do you bring law to your cities that are in or your towns that are in your land? How do you manage that? How do you hire enough people? And what happens when someone else moves in on your territory? What if someone who you pushed out previously wants revenge? And you have to deal with all of that. And at the same time, with all of that going on, You still have the protagonists, the main kind of baddie going on, the overarching story. So it is a whopping game.
So does it have like a lot of the mechanics of like being a king, where it's like, okay, I have to have like
Yeah, well, not.
it,
And you can nominate one of your party to actually be the king, the leader, the king or queen, whichever you want to be. But the rest of you are also have to do it as well. You know that you'll be like one of you is the chancellor, one of you is this, one of you is that. You all
Right.
have to bring law.
wow.
But then not everything is black and white, as we know. So they throw these kind of moral quandaries at you.
That's cool.
So
I wonder if we'll get into that in our campaign, because the idea is that we are gonna kind of take over and become like a political power eventually. I wonder if we'll ever, incorporate those rules and actually be doing that kind of stuff. That'd be kind of cool.
yeah, it looks to be a lot of fun. I got the original modules, so I was happy to play the original game, but the new version, so they've turned it into Pathfinder 2 rules. They've added new content. They've actually taken a lot of content from the game and put that the computer game and put that into the new module as well. So there was a lot there.
As somebody who knows much more about this than I do, what's your take on the differences between Pathfinder 1 and 2? Like, do you guys normally play 2 now? Do you play 1 still?
I haven't played 1 since we started version 2. But that's only because when we did Rise of the Rune Lords, we converted it from 1 into version 2.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Otherwise, it probably would have kept with version 2 because we were big fans of the 3.5 rule set, and that's pretty much what Pathfinder 1 was based on.
Right. Yeah, it feels very much like the D&D that I remember.
Yes, that's the D&D as we grew up with.
Right.
And then they change it. So yeah, it is a bit. This is looking pretty horrifying. I'm trying to
horrifyingly good.
just again, like imagine your players have to come up against this. This mini comes out on the table. This has this spiked gauntlet, and that is disgustingly rotten. I mean, that is brutal in effect. This is the red rum, and
I love that.
It's a beautiful color. Missed a bit right on the end. Let's see if I can fix it. Right at the tip. There we go. But it's turning into a beautiful color. And then the.
How much time we got, Dave?
You got about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 20 minutes.
All right.
Oh, that's looking very good. Let's get some bone. We had another question earlier, which I forgot to read out. Article.
Yeah,
there you go.
Why did it do that?
It hiccuped. Right, so we should be back, I think.
We are back, yeah, we are back.
So go ahead, Josh.
I still messed up. Hang on.
Yep.
Hold up.
I'm gonna buzz my paints. There we go, we're back. Yeah, Baron Snowhound had a question. It says, does TEBBO DORK have a good pearlescent paint to go over white?
So Pearly Gates is our white pearl. I think it's in that set we sent you guys. Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it just pearlescent, but it is technically pearlescent. But it is our white pearl. If you wanted to shift that looks beautiful over white, yeah, there we go. I wish the swatch on it was more white, but it kind of just looks like silver. But yeah, it's a pure white metallic paint, and it looks great over white. If you want a shift that looks beautiful over white, Motherload is one of my favorite shifts. It has like the kind of cotton candy, like pinks and blues and greens, as like mother of pearl wood, and that's one of the few shifts that looks really good over white. Don't think that's in the set that we sent you guys, unfortunately.
No, I got the pearly gates, but not Motherload. That I can see anyway.
I think we sent you guys kind of like our intro sets, and I don't think that's an intro color. Oh, this was a bad idea, Greg. I tried to wipe some paint off with some water, and it just spread it everywhere. I'll actually, tip time, I'll keep a little stubby brush with me whenever I'm painting over our colors. And a lot of times if you get some paint on our color, because it is a semi-gloss, you can actually just kind of wipe it off with like a little stubby brush. Um, if you do overpainting by accident, and if you're quick about it.
Does here's a question. Does varnish affect your paints in any way? If I was to varnish these to seal them in, does gloss varnish or matte varnish, does it ruin the color in any way?
No, say you do like Tester's dull coat is what a lot of people use for their miniatures here.
Yeah.
If you did that, you end up with more like a brushed aluminum kind of feel for the metallics.
Okay.
I think it still looks really cool. If you want to keep the sheen, I would go with like a semi-gloss, something like that. But if you're just going for like tabletop protective, that kind of thing, and you use a matte varnish normally, it won't necessarily affect how the shift works. It just kind of affects that like the glossiness level of it, and
Yeah.
it will feel like a different type of metal, but it'll
Okay.
still shift.
Everyone's concentrating now.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's
I
got
gave my
quiet.
guy like a very, very, very bright red loincloth, and I'm debating if that was actually a mistake or not. Because it kind of looks like bright red
I,
lingerie or something. Oh God.
I did one in green, and it was kind of the Hulk. So I did his pants
Yeah.
in purple.
Yes.
So it had to be done. Baron Snowhand says, "Thank you. That was the question."
Yay. Yeah, my chat's not loading on my screen for some reason. Oh, because my whole stream crashed. Right.
That's the pros and cons of live streaming.
Yeah. But no, try like pearly gates or motherload. Oh my God, they look so beautiful over white.
I just lost my.
Oh, one of the neat things actually, those three, they look white in the bottle, colors from our expansion 5, um, Cold Open, Siberian, Galaxia. They don't really look like very much over white, so I'm actually doing a paint scheme for an Infinity Aleph army, and I'm starting with white. I'm putting pearly gates over everything, and then I'm going to hand brush in black where I want to use Galaxia, and then
Mm-hmm.
you can spray Galaxia over the whole thing, and then only where the black is will you get the color, that deep purple of Galaxia,
Ooh.
and wherever it's white and pearl gray, it'll get like a little hint of like kind of a purple overtone, but it basically will kind of disappear, and it's kind of a way of like kind of fake self-masking something. Um, so I'm excited to try that. That is currently up on my painting table. Um, I have this conundrum where I want to, because I kind of play war games and I want to paint armies, but I want to paint them all at the same time so they all look the same. Because I always find if I come back to a painting project, it looks a little different the next time, and I'm a little anal about that. So I'm trying to build all the minis at once so I can do them all the airbrushing steps at the same time to get them all very consistent.
Yeah.
But that's just my personal pet peeve. Let's see. I need a gray.
Putting my pieces together, I'm going to take this super light purple. Very light. I'm going to dry brush right over the top. It's going to be sick. Just in the right spots. Go slow here, though. What do we got? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a family show.
Oh, my God. This is not going to show up on the camera. You have got to see this looks phenomenal. So cool. Oh, my God. This works so good. Yes.
So what are you doing, Josh? What's the secret?
Well,
what's the secret recipe?
You know, I'm coming back over those areas that had that reddish tone that was shining through.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now taking this. You can see it here. This it's kind of a what's the color? It's called Demonette Hide. Is the color of this? It's like a light, kind of fluffy purple sort of color, and I'm coming back and dry brushing over those areas that we saw earlier that I did with the white.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're getting that light purple on the top of that like creamy red tone. And the way that it's mixing with this this greenish black is just, it looks so cool. But it's got to be so light.
I love that, like, having been a photographer, like, there's this thing when you're in the dark room, like the first time when you're doing like an actual print from a negative, and you expose your piece of paper and you put it in the developer, and it's just completely white piece of paper, and then you watch this picture kind of come up out of the darkness, and I feel like there's a certain magic like that in miniatures painting when you find that like perfect recipe or a perfect interaction that you're just like, oh my god, this is what gets me going, like or like you've discovered some new technique for yourself.
It's the bit where the paint reveals more detail in the miniature than you thought was there before.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh right, now I can see it. You literally do bring it to life.
But there's also an element of you'll be painting it and it looks crap. It looks crap. It looks crap. You got to persevere. You got to still persevere. Then at some point, it just happens, and suddenly you've got something that looks okay. Looks good.
Yeah, there's always that frustrating part where you're like, I think I'm making this worse right now.
Yeah.
Like, was this the right idea?
You pass through.
Yeah. Like, don't worry, it gets better. But then, yeah, it's that when it gets better point where you're like, okay, yeah, I'm really happy with this. I love that. Because I'm definitely at the it gets worse stage of this guy's paint job. You kind of have to trust in the process too, because like you'll be putting down some, like, oh, I put down like baby poop brown, and like that doesn't look good. I'm like, well, I know I'm gonna put bone over it, so it'll be okay, but woof, like. I also love that these guys come sculpted with base detail already. I feel like basing is one of those things that gets overlooked a lot with miniatures.
Yeah, it's something. Steve mentioned this a few episodes back. It's something we haven't yet concentrated on. Haven't looked at properly. Is the how-to base. We've done in terms of the series, Great British Brush Off. We've done different bits and pieces, but it's always about the miniatures or the paint. And we've done a couple of specials where we looked at how to do something. How to paint eyes, for example, is always a popular one. But we want to do more of those specials. We did one with Army Painter just to look at their new box set of stuff. And talking to Adam at Army Painter, we learned a load of tips. Even off air, he was constantly sharing tips and techniques that you can use, and it was great. It's brilliant. So I want more of that. It's doing those kind of like a one-shot special. For example, if you whether you do it wave 5 or if you know when wave 6 is coming, if you ever want to do like a one-off special and say, there, come on, we'll just talk about turbo paints and paint using wave 6.
Yeah.
More than happy to. That's another question, by the way, is how many waves are you kind of releasing for 2023? What's the schedule? What's the plan?
So we traditionally come out with only one wave per year, and
Okay.
it's usually right about now. We may be adjusting that for 2023. I'm not 100% sure if I can talk about what we're working on next.
You
but
can.
we're
You're
up to
happy.
80 colors.
Yep.
80 colors is a lot.
What
So
about,
what we're working on.
Can I ask a follow-on question before you move on?
Mm-hmm.
Do you still market all of those colours that you started with? So you've still got to keep those batches going, the very very first set of colours you did.
We've retired a few colors over time.
Right.
And I think we were going to be retiring a few more in 2023 for various reasons. Mainly, certain colors just don't sell very well.
Right. Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's like kind of coming up with colors. It's like something will strike my fancy or Meredith's fancy, and we'll come out with it. But like, it just doesn't hook. You know, people. One of those colors was seafood, and that was one of our original colors, and we just discontinued that in September. And it was it was an okay green. It just wasn't striking in any particular way.
Yeah.
But we came out with summoning sickness to replace it. And summoning sickness, you see that color and you're just like, I have to paint with this. I have to come up with a mini to use this on. And that's the kind of effect and like allure we want with our
Mm-hmm.
paints.
Yeah.
So we're kind of reassessing things. It's also Turbo Dork is mainly just Meredith and I, and then Jen, who's a part timer. And so trying to maintain that number of colors and keep them all in stock is a little tough
Yeah.
because we make and bottle all of our paints ourselves here in Texas. We don't have a massive team or a massive warehouse, so um, kind of picking and choosing what's going to work best for us in the long run. I don't necessarily like the idea of discontinuing colors too, because I want somebody to have confidence in, if you're buying a paint and you start an army, that you'd be able to finish that army down the line years later if you need that paint. But it's a trade-off as a business too. We're only gonna probably, if we get rid of colors, they're only gonna be ones that aren't selling super well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah. So we're kind of working on some stuff that is, as dumb as it sounds, kind of vertically integrated. Like we're working on stuff to go along with our paints. We're working on like primers and thinners and stuff,
Okay.
kind of
Cool.
for our next launch. So they'll be less shiny,
Yeah.
but they'll be really useful, I think, for um, kind
No,
of the whole process.
it's good to see that Turbo Dork is continuing to expand on what you can offer people. Like I was thinking
Yeah.
more in terms of, are you going to do box sets and things like that? You've got Whiz Kids were doing these was it paint at night
Paint
or something?
nights.
Paint nights, yeah, paint in the box. So you got
Mm-hmm.
X amount of paints plus the mini plus the paintbrush. But Vallejo have done. Here's a skin pack. Here's a forest pack. Here's a desert pack, and associate the colors in that way.
Yeah, we hadn't really done box sets originally, and it was more of just a like, it was expensive to buy boxes, literally.
Yeah.
But we've gotten to a point as a company now where we can kind of afford to do that kind of expense ahead of time. And we're definitely looking at doing some more kind of color-based packs for things. We actually have a collaboration box with Parabellum and Conquest,
Mm-hmm.
where it's called Inferno X Turbo Shift. where you get one of their Inferno minis, and then like 5 of our paints that we kind of curated to go along with it. And that was our first foray into like, um, well, collaboration with another company, but also, putting a box set out there. And that's done really well for us, actually. We've sold a couple hundred of those boxes.
That's cool. Yeah.
And we've talked to them about doing more, but the pandemic has just changed so much with in terms of like how international shipping works. It's hard, because they're located in Cyprus, and just getting anything back and forth over the seas now is just impossibly expensive.
Yes.
So I'm sure you've talked to other manufacturers, and it's really changed a lot of the plans for the future. Um, you know, we are, while I don't make it a big point that we're like an American brand normally, like we are trying to do more stuff here in America and not have to worry about shipping things back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy to be bringing a lot of stuff like in home or in house, I should say. I wish I could talk about this other thing, but it's coming out in like a week or two, so you'll see it soon. But it's a really revolutionary thing that like no one's done before, and I don't want the cat to get out of the bag quite yet.
You heard it here first, folks. New stuff coming next week.
Literally like in a week or two, yeah. I just need to photograph it. But it's here. It's ready to go. I think everyone's gonna love it, and it's gonna really change how people paint, especially how they paint metallics.
Cool.
And I know that's being a little cagey, but hopefully that.
I'm really intrigued now. I mean, like, how I paint metallics? Well, yeah. Now I use a black undercoat, and now I use other than what could it be?
Right.
I'm not a great fan of the standard metallic paints.
No.
And I know a lot of people aren't because there's a whole non-metallic metallics thing. I just can't ever get the consistency right. I think I do like your paint. I don't like so much the Vallejo silvers and metallics that you get, and I don't really know what the difference is. But I just can't. I'm either making it too thin and pushing pigment around, or it's too clumpy and doesn't go where I want it to.
It's really hard. It's funny. We as paint makers, we have a lot of the same ingredients, kind of no matter which company. But we're it's kind of like baking actually. It's like everyone uses flour, everyone uses salt, everyone uses water, but we're all doing it in different ratios and at different times. So we all kind of have come across our own particular taste for like how metallics work, or or if we were going to come out with opaques, how those would look. And a lot of it comes down to the personal preference of the person designing those paints. And we work with this, I'm originally an airbrusher, and these were kind of originally airbrush paints that we've been kind of back designing to work better for hand brush. But one of the main things when I was designing this was to make sure that you could get really good coverage in a thin coat. Whereas, our paint doesn't necessarily feel like normal paint though, because it's more like a gel. And so we're kind of back working that and actually slowly rolling out over time kind of a slightly better hand brush mix that kind of feels a little more like honey, like the way you paint. Like it feels more like normal paint, I should say, and less like an airbrush gel. But yeah, every manufacturer kind of has a different kind of goal in mind with like who they think their customers are going to be. And I think I originally targeted airbrush people. That's mostly worked for us, but we're growing more into this role playing hobby that's doing hand brush too. So it's kind of trying to thread the needle between the two.
Just so everyone knows, you're into your last 5 minutes.
Oh wow, and not getting this guy finished then.
No, I thought I was going to get the broadside finished, but I've concentrated on the weapons, and then I've done my little 4 little Power Rangers here over here. So they are done. But they are looking fantastic. I'm really enjoying the colour on those. Trying to get that so everyone can see the colour. Yeah.
That is really pretty.
Really nice oily skin
That's cool.
on the brood sire. These mean looking.
Well, I am very
bits and
pleased
pieces.
how mine turned out. Very pleased.
I can't wait to see that one on Instagram so I can see it in full resolution.
Yeah. Not on this like crappy, like
What?
comes through all horrible, like lighting's terrible. Yeah, no, that's the bad thing. Again, sponsorship, right? That's
we all need red 8K and
Yeah.
Google Fiber and
yeah.
I need
That's right.
I want a studio.
yep.
There we go.
Tell you the truth, I want one of these. I want one of those things you've got, Dave, because I think that thing is so cool. Like it gives you good lighting and it gives you the
What is
proper
that?
like camera angle.
Yeah, what is that thing? The
Well-
like halo.
Well, the Halo, this thing, is literally it's an LED arch light, and I got this from Green Stuff World. I pre-ordered it, and it's absolutely fantastic. I just used to have a ring light to the side, but that meant all the light comes from one direction.
Yeah, that's
Now
iconic.
it sits over the top, and it's really really good. It's got a dimmer on it, and you can take it to conventions, which is great. And this is one of the things that we saw them use, was they had these LED arches, and then they were in the middle of the table, so people sit opposite you could also share the same light, because it just floods out, and it's great.
That's cool.
So Green Stuff World, yeah, I pre-ordered that one on purchase, and that has been great actually. And then the other thing you can see here is this is the mini painter system from Dogmite Games, who joined us on the show a few weeks back, and it was cool, just hanging out with people from the industry, from the community, who do different things, and this is their first kind of foray into this is a modular paint system. So here's a brush tray, for example. You can
and
have
a
a
shelf of shame, which
Yeah.
is the greatest thing, I think.
the shelf of shame, as we named it, which is a
Shelf
figure,
of shame.
which is behind me. Yeah, where all my unpainted minis are. You probably can't
God.
see it there, but it's a shelf for minis, which we dubbed the shelf of shame.
I had to build a whole extra wall at the office for my gray shame that I haven't gotten to yet, because yeah, it just builds up. I like that little system though. Is it magnetic?
Yeah. So this is if you want to, I can put you in touch with him if you not talk to
Yeah,
him
that'd
already.
be cool.
Yeah, so it's literally just magnets on the side. You have different elements depending on what you want. So it's completely modular. You buy the pieces you need, and they just stick together. And you can do different shapes. So for me, I've kind of made my little semicircle. But if you wanted a straight line, you could have a straight line. If you want to go off in different directions, if you want it again, where we're talking about painting at conventions, you could put the arch light in the middle of the table, and you could put this modular system kind of snaking S-shaped down the table, and you can have the pots for paint. You've got these magnetic mini holders, and they go on stands. You've got areas for paintbrushes. They do lamps and water troughs, water cups.
Wow.
There is a ton of items there. So yeah, check out Dogmite. But if you want a quick intro,
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do for you.
Are you saying dog might?
Dogmite.com.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm in my painting closet, and I don't have anything in here other than just this little like tray that I got from what is it? Miniaturescenery.com,
That's right.
which I like their little station. But
When we finished here, we'll sort you out with the
yeah, that'd be cool.
link. But yeah, they're a great company. They do loads of tabletop accessories, dice trays, dice tables,
DM shields, player
DM
sheaves.
screens. Yeah, they sent me a DM screen, which is absolutely beautiful. It's in my go bag at the moment because I'm playing D&D tomorrow, so it's already packed. But otherwise, it sits here with me, where I can stare at it lovingly.
I love the like accessorizing that goes along with the hobby now. You know, it's because you
Yeah.
can like dial in your kit perfectly.
It's gotta be done. Yeah, it's gotta be done. Right, guys, we are out of time. You are a minute over. Josh, that is looking fantastic.
I am trying to like use this light. I've got it hold it in my hand now.
It's balancing
Move it
it,
around
yeah.
the model to see if the lighting can like, because I really wish that folks could see how these, flat paints used with these color shifters really work. So
Yeah.
definitely check out the Instagram and Twitter posts once I put those up. But
Yeah, and remember, folks, that there's only so much webcams can do. So do go and check out Josh's Instagram. Check out Band of Badges Instagram. Steve's got Instagram. Greg, if you're happy to stick photos on your Instagram as well, on TEBBO DORK Instagram, people can go and see his red trunked bulwark.
Yeah. I don't even know what this guy. Yeah. Come on, focus on him. Let's see if I put white behind him.
I'm gonna do more light.
Right, so everybody brushes down. We are game time. So we're going to start with Greg and then we'll go around the table. Remember, audience, for those of you joining live, if you think anyone should win the gold star, I will open the gold star now. Here it goes. Shout out their name. Yes, Baron Snowhand. Yes, Steve. Steve has joined social. He's joined Instagram. I'll quickly say that while his headphones are off.
He's joined Instagram.
Steve has joined Instagram.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. Yeah.
Right.
Me.
So let's check it. I was gonna say let's check out Greg first, but let's check out Greg's mini, and it still has the wrong connotations completely.
Oh. Okay, let's see if I can get it to like.
It's always the hard bit is getting these webcams to focus.
I know. This is why I want to get one of the like really professional ones that can like just turn a little.
That's why I use the phone so I can zoom in and zoom out, and it's a lot.
Oh.
I have control. I have the control of the horizontal and the vertical.
Rawr. Oh wait, that's the little tiny window.
Yeah, you need.
That's not gonna work.
You can. I will switch the camera around. Boop. Is that gonna work? There we go. We're now on to Big Greg. Yep.
Wait.
It's going to be really hard to pick out that colour.
I know. Oh, man.
The red is really standing out, though. The trunks look great. It's kind of like David Hasselhoff has just hulked out in a mutant episode of Baywatch.
He's swum into some raw sewage, and that's the result.
Look at that.
Okay, he's definitely David Hasselhoff now. Is what I'm calling this guy.
Hashtag Baywatch mutants.
Blow this one up.
Yeah, that red was not the right choice, but he looks good on the beach, and that's what matters.
You can see him.
Yeah, he does.
When he's swimming out to save you, you know you're in trouble.
You will definitely see him coming. He has so many arms with which to save you.
Yeah.
One big powerful one and little grabby ones.
That looks wicked. You can see all the definition. Like it. I mean, the miniatures have a lot of definition anyway. That you've got the skin on the arms, the wings as those arms are ripped apart, and then they've got this bulbous thing on the inside rib cage. Looks absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. I love the way you get the shift as you turn.
Yeah.
You can't beat that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
cool.
That's really
That
really
looks
nice.
really good.
Well
really
done.
Good.
Okay, Josh, let's start with you because you've got to juggle everything.
Okay, we're gonna start without the light, and then we're gonna add the light, and we're gonna see what works.
Remember, people, if you think you know who you want to give the gold star to, do shouting it out in live chat.
Let's get it. Now with the
Oh, that looks good.
Yeah.
ooh
let's
yeah.
see what shows up on the stream in the right spot.
I'm still amazed by that base because that green really does pop. It really does look disgusting.
Yeah, when that basing gets on there, it looks really good too. Now we're gonna start hitting
Yeah.
it with that light and see if those colors will start, so you can see the difference.
Yeah, so much of like the shift is like just moving the mini around in the light is really what highlights it.
I think
I actually say a lot of times at home is like if you can have a window next to you or behind you is a great way to see it.
the disturbing thing about this kind of dog mini is the stretched flesh. It is quite just all of these minis are disturbing, but the dog one.
Yeah, no, I like the way you've got that blue. You've got the almost turquoise colour, and then the purple, and then what looks like cream as you shift it. That's a really nice colour scheme.
Mm-hmm.
That is a really. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
A very Halloween feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how it came out. All right.
That is particularly nasty. Okay, me or you, Steve?
Well, you can go because I'll
Yeah.
probably fanny around with my pin for a bit.
Well, my lot is straightforward. I'll just zoom in. We are dubbing these the Power Rangers now. So we have the different color schemes. There we go. These are all different switcher paints. And you can just, I mean, they are glorious in color and how the detail is changing. I mean, look, you can just see how much light that is reflecting, the light and shadow. If you look at his back, I mean, look, the definition there is grotesque. I do think the Summoning Sickness is probably my favourite because the darks are really dark and the lights are just it's a very putrid green. And these are ghouls, everybody. These are not necessarily undead. This is stuff that eats rotten flesh. That's why I made all the bases red, because it's just flesh they've ripped apart and just walking on. They strip
Ooh,
the
I like
flesh
that.
off dead body bones. And if anyone's seen the latest episode of Walking Dead, imagine that. It's like they just eat all that wet skin.
Oh,
A lot of flesh.
Yeah, it is.
I can't decide whether I like the green or the really dark blue one.
The dark blue or the purple? I've got a purple.
Purple, yeah.
Yeah,
That
the
one.
the
I do
purple's.
like that.
The thing is, the purple's a really attractive colour, so it probably doesn't work well with this ghoul.
No.
But I used on one of the we call it the Nemesis. We call it the Nemesis. I used the Army Painter purple flat colour acrylic, and that was lovely. And when I used it on this to get the oily skin, it just looks too good. It doesn't look horrifying enough. That's
Right.
That's the downside. It is a beautiful. This is a great Christmas colour.
Yes, it is.
So I know we're doing a Halloween special, Halloween hangout this Sunday as a live stream. Maybe we should do like a Christmas one. And this is a. You want some really nice Christmas reds, golds, and this purple. Because that is.
Yeah, and
Look how shiny that is. That's not wet.
It's
that's
a darker
dry.
purple though. Like on the camera, it looks
Yeah.
like it's got some darker tones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Is
did
that
this as.
Galaxia?
No, this was.
Like Let Them Eat Cake, maybe?
Might have been Let Them Eat Cake, I think. I need to refer go back to my notes. But
I bet you.
I did this on my first episode, and look how shiny that is.
I think it was the Let Them Eat Cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't find it now.
I
It's
wonder what it would
gorgeous.
look like if you dry brushed that with dark net,
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah.
because those dark undertones of that purple.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you dry brush that with dark net, I bet that would just explode.
Cool. And over to you, Steve. I will make me and Josh big again. There we go.
There we go.
I do love to. I do love this. Did I just put my elbow in my paint? I think I did.
Oh my god.
I spilled a little paint on me during some of the wash. I was like trying to close it, and it's like.
Big Tough Pete in chat says, really does show off your paints really well, Greg. Oh, there you go. Thank you very much, Big Tough Pete.
Yeah. Thank you.
Baron Snowhand says, yes, a different meaning to Santa Claus.
Oh my god.
Ba-dum-bum.
Right, I spent a lot of time on the skin.
But I do love how that's turned out on the skin.
Yeah, and I'm going to put a wash over it because it's a little bit blown. It doesn't look as blown in real life as it does on the camera. but I do need to knock it back a little bit. But I like the whole purple through pink color scheme, and I've only done the top
Yeah.
half, not the bottom half. And then
is cool.
on the weapon, I started to do that arm. So I used a little bit of red rum. Bit of a turn the light off. What do you reckon? No, made no difference at all. I used a little bit of red rum on the tip, and then the afterburn. I was trying to go for a sort of a heat effect. Yeah, red hot poker. And then I just put some afterburner on the chains, but I've only managed to do a couple of coats of that, so it's not bright and shiny by any means. And then I did the
Look,
dark.
I like how the blade there, the
Yeah.
hatchet blade, just really. Look there. It just picks up your light.
Catches the light.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Looks like a razor blade.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the dark net on there. I really love that color.
Ooh,
Really love
nice.
that color. So what I will do with the wood is I'll darken it up with some umber wash, and maybe dry brush it a little bit, and then I've got some oil effect paint that I want to brush down from the top of the blade to give it sort of a weathered look to it, and then around the pit marks. But yeah, that dark net color is awesome. I love that one. That's my favorite out of the set, I have to say.
Yep.
Yeah, the afterburner actually takes some getting used to using, because I shook it up, it comes out the bottle, and you've got a lot of the white medium, and you paint it on, it doesn't change color straight away, it doesn't go on the gold, and you have to stick with it. So you stick with it, and it looks great, but it's a bit disconcerting when you're putting it on.
It is, yeah. You have to kind of trust in the process.
Yes, yeah.
Like you'll
Because I was
get there
trying to wet
eventually.
blend it a little bit as well. It was like, have I not mixed it enough? So yeah, no, but it's a lovely colour once it's gone undried. But yeah,
That
I haven't
looks
put enough
awesome.
coats on to show it on the camera. But yeah, I spent a lot of time on the skin.
Yeah.
Cool. Well done. So, everybody in the audience, do shout out a name. That's just to kind of help Greg. But now, Steve, if you can switch your camera back around. And now for Greg, it's over to you. This is the highly technical part of the show, where we have we upgrade our technology because we have technology, and I will release the star. The star is now flying around the screen. Where it's going to stop, no one knows, apart from Greg. Greg now has to. I love this part. Greg now has to decide who the winner is for this.
Yep.
We have one for Josh. We have one for Steve.
I think we've technically got two for Josh, because we had one from Kelly earlier on as well.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
Two for Josh, one for Steve. There is definitely no expense used, Baron.
Yeah. Are you just dragging around that?
Yeah.
Is that thing just attached to your mouse? Okay.
Yeah, that's an effect. That's an effect. That's part
Yeah,
of.
this is like original series Star Trek effect.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
somebody's just like with a string.
Yeah. We're taking it to the next level here. That's a new effect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing I
Well-
didn't think of. I suppose you use that. Isn't that Christmas star on a string? I'll just bring it on a pole.
You
or
could
something.
just stick it to a straw or something and wave it
Yeah.
around. couldn't you?
Well, I'm actually going to give it to you, Dave, because I really
Hey!
like your Power Ranger team.
Hey, my first star of the season.
All right.
Pete says your wrist is getting very tired, Dave.
It was.
Yeah.
Now I've got water bottles here as well, and I've got my drinking water, and they're very close to the edge of the table. But yeah, thank you very much. I won one.
Yeah.
Well, that's well deserved. That is not just for tonight, but for the series thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No,
been. It's
I
probably.
think they look great.
It's probably been the closest. Again, all of our painting's been done online, in front of people, and I think the fact that we are getting so close now, it's hard to pick. It's hard to pick winners now.
Yeah.
Because we I think everyone is getting to it. I don't think I'm there yet, but it's great when I do win, and I can just gloat that I've won.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, some bragging rights, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve's got 3, but I got 1.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a paint. Oh, 1. There we go.
No.
What-
I think your dudes really showed off our paint really well, and I like the concept, and I like the the blood field that they're on, or the flesh field that they're on, and yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was a great idea. So
Cool.
yeah,
Thank you very much. Yeah, it wasn't even on
Yeah.
purpose. That wasn't planned. It was
yeah,
just I'm going to paint them different colours, and it works.
yeah.
But yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. Greg, thank you very much for joining us. Been a pleasure to have you on. I hope
Yeah,
Meredith's
thank you for
okay
having me.
now. I hope maybe Meredith could come on next time and paint some dragons.
Oh, I think she would love that. Yeah. Yeah, she's doing really well. But yeah, when next time you guys have dragons, like she'll be there.
Okay, I'm hoping we do some dragons because Dragonlance is coming. It comes in December, but I think by the time we get to January, we'll know what WizKids are doing, or if anyone's doing dragons, do let us know, and we'll get some dragons. We need to do some dragons. It's Dragonlance. We need dragons.
Yeah, we haven't
Yeah.
done a dragon, have we?
No, we haven't. Not on stream. No, and I've got the epic one, so we could do. We've got for those of you who haven't seen, if you're watching this on YouTube, you've only seen what's been going on the screen. But for those of you joining live chat, do check out TEBBO.com. The link is in live chat now. It's just popped up on the screen. How fortuitous is that? So thank you very much, Greg. Was it okay? Was it kind of a bit painless?
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I
Good.
love just hanging out and painting. So
Fantastic.
so yeah, thank you for inviting me and thank you for joining me.
Absolute pleasure.
Cool.
Josh, thank you for stepping in for Joe again.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if we're going to see you next. We don't know when the next one is. We've got one more to do. One more, and we've got Craig coming on. I don't know if he's
I'm not sure.
still in live chat. If not, Joe will be back. But
Yep.
Josh, where can people find you?
You can find me on socials, YouTube primarily at the McGuire Review, Twitter at the McGuire, and Instagram at the McGuire Review.
Cool. Steve, you've got Instagram now. Where can people find you?
Here.
He ain't telling anyone.
And on Instagram. No, it's an at. Is it an at? Is that right? Disco underbar 8x. So almost the same as my Twitch name, but there is an underbar between disco and the 8x. So the underbar is important, obviously.
Fantastic. Greg, sorry, we shouted out TEBBO.com. Anywhere else people can find you? What's going on? What's your next convention? What about Instagram?
Right. So we're TurboDork on Instagram. We're TurboDork official. Or no, TurboDork.com on Twitter. We have the TurboDorks Facebook group for all of our fans and customers. We have a Discord. And we're going to be at Warfare Weekend in St. Louis, not this weekend, but next. And then we'll be at PAX Unplugged in December, LVO in January, hopefully Adepticon in March. Yeah, we're hitting the circuit again, so hopefully we'll be out there and in your town or nearby at least. So
Cool.
Yep.
Any plans for the UK holiday or convention?
I think we would love to do UK Games Expo next year if we can. Yeah,
Cool.
we're gonna try.
Well,
Yeah.
me and Steve will definitely be there. So if you do come over, we'll find you and we'll buy some drinks.
Right on.
We generally stay there the whole week. So yeah, we'll be there. It's
That's
our
awesome.
Gen Con.
Yay.
Without actually getting to Gen Con. Right. Thank you everyone for joining us. That's the end of us. We're going to see you later. Goodbye. And Steve's going to find a raid before I turn off. See you everybody. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.